This is the Mobile Podcast by PCWorld Middle East, a weekly podcast about all things mobile like mobile phones, smartphones, tablets, telecom services, and more. We publish 5 weekly podcasts on a range of topics, including Apple, PC, mobile, gaming, and security. We also offer a daily podcast with a summary of the technology headlines. You can find all our podcasts, as well as live video streams from when we record at podcasts.pcworldme.net. The equipment we use for our podcast is sponsored by joshanmalbooks.com, your source for the latest books and magazines, with UAE store locations in Mall of Emirates, Abu Dhabi Mall, Sahara Center, Al Ghurair City, and selected Spinneys supermarkets. Also in Bahrain at Seif Mall and Bahrain City Center. Visit them online at joshanmalbooks.com. Welcome to the Mobile Podcast by PCWorld Middle East. Again, this is the place where we talk about all different kinds of mobile stuff. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Saleh Ismaili. He's the founder and user experience designer at Dots & Lines, a small mobile experience boutique that's in the making. He comes from a digital background with a decade of work on online experience and branding. He is now leading the design and development of a family of Twitter apps called Carbon, for WebOS phones and tablets, and Windows Phone 7 as flagship mobile products for Dots & Lines. And there was a Nokia phone starting up, yes, in the middle of all of
that. Was that like a sponsored ad?
Should be. No, I'm trying to update a Nokia N8 to Anna, and it doesn't want to, so I've factory reset it. Anyway, so you can reach Saleh on Twitter as .1 with a 1 there in the middle. So welcome back to us, Saleh. Yeah. What's been happening this week? Anything interesting other than crying more over HP and WebOS?
Still crying in river, man. Still doing that.
If you haven't caught that yet, we did an extra, a special episode last week just about HP and WebOS. So go listen to that. That would be, you can find it at podcasts.pcworldme.net. I believe that was episode 11, and we're now on 12, if I get this right. So we've done quite a bit already. We are going to talk a little bit about what's in the news, what's been in the news about mobile stuff, but later in the show, most of the show, we're going to be joined by a guest. And joining us in the studio a bit later is Ritesh. He's the CEO, Ritesh Tilani. He's the CEO of CareZone, a pretty interesting business idea and app. And go check it out if you like in the iOS App Store, CareZone. And also online, care-zone.com, and Twitter, CareZone, if you'd like to connect with them. But listen to the podcast first so you know what it's about. So Ritesh is joining us after the first break. So let's dig into some of the news then. We know that Mango is coming, Windows Phone 7.5, I believe that is, Mango. It's coming, and leaks have started to come about different manufacturers bringing out or coming out with handsets for Mango. HTC Omega is one of the first ones. You've read, it's pretty much just some rumored specs and stuff. What do you think about this phone? Is that something that's going to be exciting, you think? Because you're working on a Windows version of Carbon.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting because HTC coming up with this codenamed Mega, it's going to be called HTC Radar. It's going to be very interesting because this is going to be the 4th or 5th HTC's Windows Phone mobile.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They had like a good number of phones. They had HD2, HD7, they had Mozart, they had a couple of more. So they already had a good number of Windows Phone 7 mobiles.
And actually, speaking of that, last week's regular episode was with HTC. So go listen to that as well.
Oh, yeah. And this one looks kind of like the Cha-Cha as well from the back. And it looks like the Flyer. HTC Flyer as well.
Yeah, and it reminds me of the Cha-Cha, which has that white kind of plastic and then aluminum.
That Facebook button.
Yeah, exactly. So just a quick recap of the rumored specs: 3.8-inch display, 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon, 512 megabytes of RAM, 8 megapixel camera on the back. But I think that's about it. And they're supposedly also coming out with a 4.7-inch one.
That's
got named the Eternity, also 1.5.
What's with these big mobiles coming out, man? 4.7? That's half a small tablet.
Well, actually, I don't think I put that in the news, but I posted this morning. IFA is starting on Friday, I believe, in Germany, and it's a big consumer electronics show. And Samsung has already posted on one of their websites news about what's coming at IFA, and it was only in Korean, I believe, but Google Translate, we could figure it out. So there is a Samsung Galaxy S2 LTE coming.
Okay.
So the S2 with 4.5-inch display, 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor, and looking very much like the S2, but a little bit bigger and faster, and LTE, so that's 4G data. There's also Tab 8.9 LTE coming, also 1.5 dual core.
So now they have small,
Beast.
medium, X large, XX large.
But that's big, 4.5-inch display and 1.5
Put that
gigahertz.
in his pocket, man.
I don't know.
But I've seen some people who use that Galaxy Tab, the 7-inch, and use
Put it
in
in a
their
pocket.
man.
Acer has a 4.8-inch coming smartphone, Android.
What's with these weird sizes, man?
So that's something I didn't put in here. So here you go, HTC rumored Omega Windows Phone coming at some point. Good business, we hope.
Amazon's tablet, man.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Amazon's tablet's gonna be hundreds less than iPad in price, of course. So Amazon's coming out with their own tablet, and they want to eat the market this time. After seeing HP doing their file sales with the touchpad, I think that kind of makes sense for them right now to do that. But how is that good?
I don't know. I mean, they want to. I think the thing to keep in mind is Amazon has the content. They want to make the money on selling the books, the music, magazines, those kinds of things.
So sales of content and digital content is supposed to be making up for the losses that they're gonna have on the hardware sales, because there's no hardware with that good features and that
at
kind
that
of performance
price
could go with that price.
Yeah. So I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We have a picture of the Kindle up on the site with that story. So we'll see what it looks like and when it's coming. But there's been a consistent rumor about Amazon coming with a tablet for a long time. So I don't think there's any doubt that it is coming. What it exactly will be, we will see.
It's going to have Android 3.2. Nice. It's Android 3.2 with a 9-inch screen.
Yeah.
Why 9?
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, some people say that 7-ish, they like the convenience of 7, but it's a bit too small for like a full web page.
Oh, yeah?
10-inch is better, obviously bigger, but it's too big to carry around with you. So maybe 8. Samsung's 8, 9. Maybe that's good compromise.
9. Yeah, just an inch, man. Who cares, right? Is that a big deal? If do you think that's going to affect the iPad's price?
No.
I mean, iPad started when they were, first in a pack over there. No one was after them. So right now, I think with all those productions, maybe the price should go down a bit further.
If we speculate a little bit, I think what Apple may do is what they've done with phones. They've kept the older version on, but lowered the price.
Oh, yeah.
So there'll be an iPad 3, and then iPad 2 goes down $100 until it's sold out.
That would make
or something
sense.
like so that they might do. But the new generation, it seems like the Android guys and everybody else has a hard time matching the $499 starting price of iPad.
Right.
So with that in mind, I don't see Apple lowering the price. And this, I don't think they are too worried about, because it's too tied into Amazon. I would assume. We don't know for sure.
But at the end of the day, it's an Android tablet. So what about the rest of the Android pack?
Sure.
What are they going to do?
I think it depends on how much it is a general purpose tablet and how much it is an Amazon tablet.
So it's not going to be a Kindle?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So it's probably more like something like the Nook with it's Barnes & Noble, right? Nook, which we don't have in the market. But people have very quickly discovered it's basically a regular Android tablet. It's just that they have restricted the use of it. But now people are hacking it and using it as people are saying it's the cheapest Android tablet around. So that might be the way they're going. I don't know. Nokia has launched new phones, and I thought one of the more interesting ones out of them was the cheapest one. So they have a 101 or 101, whichever you want to say. It's a very tiny little phone, and it's going to sell for really, really cheap. $35, they say, without subsidies.
Wow.
So that's 150 dirhams, less than 150 or 120-ish.
And it doesn't look cheap.
It looks pretty nice, the pictures I've seen. I mean, it's a phone. It's not a smartphone. I'm not sure you can install any apps on it. It has FM radio, loudspeaker, micro SD card, and it's a dual SIM one, right?
Is this the same one that they released in Nigeria? Is this the same one?
That I don't know. But it's a dual SIM card, so you can have two SIM cards in, and then, when you make a call, decide which one to use. So that's apparently attractive to certain parts of the world where people share phones.
Do you
Does that
miss
make
having
sense?
one of these feature phones that you just have those numbers and that's it? You just call them.
Well, it happens sometimes that I get tempted to just move to a regular phone.
I do too, man.
Because I have a tablet, so maybe I can do my computing on the tablet and then have a phone and then charge it once a week.
That's all. Yeah. Because those phones, man, they just never run out of battery.
Yeah, exactly. And I can still SMS on it. Depending a little bit on which phone you go for, you can still do email if you have to.
Yeah.
So, it happens once in a while that I get tempted of that.
And for that kind of price, man, you can get like 5, 6. So if you lose one.
Yeah, one per every day of the week.
Yeah, different colors and,
The picture of it is pink again. So, by the way,
again,
if you have listened to our shows, then you know why that is funny.
Yeah, you could have used this on your TV show.
Oh, it wouldn't have shown up against the shirt. So I think it looks nice. It's I'm gonna ask Nokia to send one over when they have one, to see what it's like.
Cool.
I'm not sure I would carry around the pink one, but if they have a black grey-ish, maybe.
Yellow.
Red I would probably go for, but
Lambo yellow or Lambo orange.
Then I need the card too. Okay, something else from RIM this time, from Research in Motion's makers of BlackBerry, is that they have launched a trial of a music service, and it's on trial Canada, US, and the UK now. But they say that by the end of the year, or sometimes later this year, we're going to have it in Saudi Arabia, UAE at least, and a bunch of other countries. So the idea, if I understand it right, is that you sign up for this service. It's $5 a month. And you can have up to 50 songs on your device at any time, and then for every month you can swap 25 of them for new ones. And then everybody else you have on your BBM list, and they are also signed up with the music service, they have access to your 50 songs.
That's really nice.
So if you have there are 10 people, and let's presume that they all have totally different 50 songs, then you would have access to 500 songs for $5 a month. So get a big list of people on BBM, and many of them sign up for this service. You would have a bunch of music to access.
That's actually very, very nice.
The problem is you can't. You can download them with restrictions, I think, to listen offline, but they're not yours to keep.
But you can listen to them at any time.
Yep.
Since they're on your phone, so if you have some good speakers, you can have fun. But is it going to be available in UAE and Middle East? Because
yes.
I see it's mentioned Europe, Asia, and North America.
No, the press release says that they will be available in UAE and Saudi and the Middle East.
For real?
Yeah.
That's good news.
Later this year.
That's very good news.
Yep. I think it shows how big BBM and BlackBerry is in these markets. We're up there. Well, not quite. It's UK, US, Canada. They trial it, but then we're right up there with a lot of other big countries, big parts of the world.
Anyway, this is very important because even iOS, Apple with its own, iOS empire over here, they still don't have this.
Nope.
They don't have access to any kind of music deals that they could
Nope.
see to the users over here.
Yep.
Even iTunes is not open for us.
And Nokia tried a couple of years ago with their unlimited comes with music service.
Exactly.
And you actually when you bought one or two different Nokia phones, you got a year unlimited music service. Can download as much as you want to, re-download as much as you want to.
And they had a service online as well that you could buy, but I don't think it's still there. Even the operator over here tried, and they failed at it as well. So this is very important.
Nokia Music Store, I think, is still there.
It's still there?
But the unlimited one is not. They cancelled that, which was a shame. Actually, I thought that was. I guess it didn't make money. That must have been the basic reason why that was shut down.
Real interesting, man.
Okay, I think, should we mention something? Do we have one other one right quickly? I can just say again, we're going to IFA in Berlin. If all goes well, we don't have the tickets yet, and this is Monday, but anyway. We're scheduled to go to IFA in Berlin on Thursday morning and be reporting there from Friday and for another week. And there's lots of different things supposedly being launched there. We mentioned the Samsung Galaxy LTE, for example. And you can find all of our coverage at ifa.pcworldme.net. We'll put all the IFA articles there, videos, and whatever else we come up with. So there you go. Some of the things in the news. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are joined by Ritesh from CareZone. Welcome back to the show. We have talked a little bit about what's been in the news in terms of mobile, and there's always plenty to talk about. But it's always more interesting to talk to real people who are doing real stuff in terms of mobile. Okay, so Saleh, you are an app developer, so you're sharing your experience of developing apps. Many times you talked about different aspects of app development. But we are joined in studio by Ritesh from CareZone. So thanks for joining us, Ritesh.
Thanks for having me.
You had the launch of CareZone not long ago. So maybe start with filling us in on what is CareZone and what does the app do?
Sure. So CareZone is basically a mobile platform that we developed to connect socially conscious consumers with brands that care. So you can download this app for free. And it's location-based, so it'll tell you what's around you, partners that are participating in the platform. We reward you for visiting any of these partners' outlets, simply for visiting. Even if you don't make any purchases, we will give you points in our system called CareZone coins. Then what we do is we also reward you for purchases that you make with these partners. So that's an incentive for actually physically supporting the partner. So if you're going to, for example, have coffee with your friends, you have a number of choices. We would like to ask you to spend your time and money with our partners because in return you get CareZone coins, half of which you can give on to your favorite cause. And that's kind of what makes us different. So if you want to think of it as a mobile-based loyalty program, that's another way of thinking about it. But the loyalty that the incentives that you collect for your loyalty, half of it benefits a charity, and you get to choose which charity that is. The other half you can use for rewards for yourself, just like you would with any other loyalty program.
But it's in terms of charities, it's charities then that have signed up with you, right? You can't just pick anybody.
Okay. So yeah, we do have to have met with the charity. We have our own criteria for selecting them as well, making sure they make the cut. Okay. And they're listed in the app, so you can pick from that list. And if you don't actually see your favorite charity in there, then you can suggest it to us, and we'll go out and get them on board as well.
And give us some examples of charities that are signed up with you guys.
We have everything from local causes like Dubai Animal Rescue Center and Dubai Autism Center, Emirates Marine Environmental Group, to more regional and global causes as well, like the United Nations World Food Program. So we're trying to get a good variety of causes. I mean, whether you want to think of animals and caring for them, or there's crises in the world like the Horn of Africa. We have environmental causes as well, like Give a Gaff with Goombuk. So yeah, we're trying to get a whole big variety. So basically, whatever your favorite cause might be, we would like for you to be able to find it in CareZone.
Okay. And so when you go check in at a place with your app, you get CareZone coins. Was that what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah, it was CareZone coins, right?
CareZone coins. Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
So, and then half of those, are they automatically, you have to give half of those to one of the causes, right?
You don't have a choice.
Okay.
You have to give them to a cause, but we give you the choice with regards to which cause.
Okay. So, and then the other, we'll get to the other half. Okay. So, what happens then when the cause gets these coins? Is that then directly related to cash on their end?
Absolutely. So basically, all the coins that accumulate in a certain cause's account with us, we actually write them a check on behalf of all our users who voted for that cause to benefit from their actions.
Okay. And how many causes do you currently have?
Things have been changing on a daily basis, so I don't remember the exact number, but roughly about, in terms of number of organizations, about 8 or 9.
Okay.
But each organization has 1 to 2 causes, and so in all about 15 or so causes on board already.
All right. So then the other half, what can you do with it? So in terms of me as a loyal, shopper or user of your app, I get a lot of coins. So half of it has to go to a cause, and then what happens to the other half? What can I do with the other half?
So the other half. So actually, let me take a step back. So the half that you give away are called Care Coins, and the other half that you keep for yourself are called My Coins.
Okay.
So the same story with the My Coins as well. There's a tab dedicated to rewards in our app, which you can browse through to see what catches your fancy there, and you can simply visit the outlet that's offering that reward and redeem it on the spot.
Okay.
So I mean, slightly different from other loyalty programs where you might have to go online and redeem it and wait for something to come in the mail or call up customer care.
Sure.
Here we want to give people instant rewards as much as possible. So if the outlet chooses to offer instant rewards, we make it possible. So it could be anything from a free cup of coffee to we have 2 cupcake shops, or rather brands with one or more outlets each. So a free cupcake, for example. There's gift vouchers with some of our vendors, some of our partners as well,
Okay.
in fashion, for example. Hopefully again over time we hope to expand the variety of rewards that you can redeem within CareZone as well.
Okay, but can you take any of that out in cash, or is it all just you have to basically spend it virtually?
You do have to spend it with our partners.
Okay.
Some of it does equate to vouchers, which are almost as good as cash. The only restriction is that you have to use it with that vendor.
Sure.
The other thing that you can do with rewards is if you're the type of person who's really in it for the cause element, then you can give all of your coins, including your My Coins, away to your favorite causes as well.
Sure. Okay. All right. So does that sort it out for you, Saleh? I know you. Well, I was as well a bit confused about how this all worked. Does that straighten out some question marks?
But I think it's better when one uses it. So if users wanted to download your app or buy it, which platforms are they on, and how much does it cost, and what should they do?
So basically, to find out a little bit more, you can always go to care-zone.com. There we also have a link to all the links to the app stores, which we have the app on right now. And for now, we only have it on the iPhone, but we just launched last week. We're hoping to be able to launch on the Ovi store as well, on Nokia platform, on Symbian, very soon. In fact, we're almost done with the app. Over time, we hope to be able to launch on other platforms as well. The app is absolutely free. We don't want to have people paying to use this app. This should be available to everybody. They should be using it every day for everyday things, like eating out, drinking coffee, shopping, watching movies.
As a developer, usually when I look at apps and, even when I create it for clients or talking about it, the first thing that comes into mind, why should I make or create that app? How do you make money out of this?
Well, we have an interesting business model. Actually, going back one step, you guys said it is a little not so easy to understand right off the bat. And that makes sense. It's partly because this is unique. It's never been done before in this form, and I'll explain why. Because we reward people for visiting outlets, that doesn't actually necessarily generate any revenue for our partners. We can't charge our partners for that, not the retail partners at least. So that's where we bring advertisers in. So every time somebody checks in, they will see an ad from one of our ad partners, and whatever the ad partner paid for showing you that ad actually comes to you in the form of CareZone coins. So when you compare us to traditional publishers of ads, they would usually pocket most of that. We would actually rather give it on to the users to incentivize them to go to the outlet in the first place. So it's almost 2 birds with 1 stone. Now, when you actually make a purchase, a percentage of what you spend comes back to you in the form of coins as well. So those are the 2 transactions that actually take place, which our partners pay for, and our revenue structure is completely commission-based. So if our partners aren't benefiting, if our users aren't using the platform and benefiting themselves, if the causes aren't benefiting, we don't actually make any money. So it's all transaction-based.
Okay, interesting. So I know you don't want to reveal detailed financial information, but you just started. When do you see yourself breaking even on this, or what's the plan?
Yeah, or you know what? Let's make it an easier question.
Okay.
What kind of target user do you have in mind? Like the number of users where you can be satisfied with, at least in the UAE, because you're trying to tackle four platforms, right? If I'm correct. So what kind of users? What's the number of users you're looking for just to be satisfied?
You know, honestly speaking, it's very difficult to have a target number in mind, especially in a field that's changing so dramatically every day. You know, one day Microsoft partners up with Nokia, the other day Google buys out Motorola, third day another platform is going to disappear, fourth day another one's going to come up. So it's very hard. I mean, what I do know though is the fact that today we have over 3 million smartphone users within the UAE. And that was at last check. So I don't even know what it is today. It might even be bigger. And that number is only going to keep increasing. So as a proportion of the population, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, I think a year ago it was 200,000 iPhone users in the UAE. So just launching on the iPhone today, or last week rather, gives us access to 200,000 as an addressable market size. If we get even 1% of that, that's 2,000 users. Now, I wouldn't say that 1% is good enough for me. We want to get many more, but that's just one platform. So there is a big market to be tapped into. There's a lot of users out there who we've been hearing from that would love to use this app. In terms of break even, just to go back to the actual question, it all depends. It depends on, I mean, there's a number of moving parts in our case. There's advertisers, there's retailers, there's platforms, there's users. So it's very, very difficult to put a number, a target, a number of months, anything of that sort. But compared to traditional business models, according to our expectations, this should move a fair bit faster than most of those others, especially because we have been hearing from a lot of our users, the early adopters, that this is something that they would really, really like to see grow. They really like what they've seen so far. They see causes in there that they feel very passionately about, and they see themselves using this every day. So that's a good sign for us. That's excellent feedback for us to get in the first week.
Awesome.
Are these the sort of issues that you also struggle with? I mean, you mainly do yours, your Twitter app, Carbon, but I know you're kind of dabbling in all different kinds of things. Are these issues that you also think about?
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, it's all about how many users you have and how many people are going to be using your app. But it really depends, because our apps are completely different, where it only depends on the users, where we don't have to deal with other businesses, advertisers.
Sure.
There's no triangle over there to deal with. So it's just one way and one way back. That's it. So I could imagine it would be a lot more complex at your case over here. But since we have our audience usually are the techies and geeks and who love mobiles, it's not the average normal users, right? So so many of them are going to be like mobile developers who are interested, so they'll listen, right?
Yeah, we hope so.
Right?
If not, they should be.
So so you started over here. How long have you been doing CareZone?
Almost a year now, actually, full time.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Full time.
It's not been easy, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been very exciting.
The app has been out. Well, you officially launched. You said a week ago.
About a week ago. Actually, not even a week yet.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll put an end to it for now, at least. We'll come back after the break and talk more about CareZone. So stay right there. Welcome back to the show. We still have Ritesh from CareZone with us in the studio. So one question that came up in the break: where did the idea come from? Where does this all start? CareZone.
I get asked that question quite a bit, actually. I mean, it's not an obvious choice of business model for one, and two, area or topic for building an app.
Sure.
Specifically, but essentially, I mean, I've led a number of different types of lives before this. I've been a consultant, management consultant in various parts of the world. I also used to work with Nokia as their head of strategy. But entrepreneurship was something that I always wanted to do.
Okay.
And more specifically, I wanted to build something that that not only allowed me to give back to the community that I live and operate in, but also empowered others to do the same as well, and so make that bigger impact, so to speak. And that's kind of where the initial spark or inspiration for CareZone came from. And then, of course, there's the fact that it's mobile-based, and that's where my experience and expertise lay from my lives before CareZone.
So when somebody, this sounds a bit macabre, but when somebody reads your Wikipedia page in the future, first line should see the founder of CareZone.
Oh, I hope we make that big an impact, such that first of all I have a Wikipedia page. But yeah, that would be something
So the CareZone, you're only operating in the UAE right now?
We're launching in the UAE.
Yeah.
We hope that we can validate the business model here to the extent where we can justify expanding to the rest of the region.
Okay. And eventually beyond the region?
I was going to hint at that, but I made baby steps at first,
okay,
maybe.
Yeah, sure. No, if you've only been up a week, it's a bit maybe premature to talk about that kind of expansion. Okay, so since we are a podcast all about mobile stuff, and we talk quite a bit about app development and apps and the business aspects of it as well as the technical aspects of it. So let's dig into some of those issues. You are launching the iOS version of the app, and then you're saying that the Symbian, the Nokia one, is coming soon. And I believe also you're working on BlackBerry Android, right? I think it kind of says that on the site.
We would like to start on those very soon as well. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the choice then. You started with iOS. Why iOS?
Well, I mean, I get asked that question a lot too. I mean, the number of iOS users, actually no, sorry, let me rephrase that. The number of iPhone users in the UAE aren't as big as maybe the number of BlackBerry users or Nokia users. However, they are the most active when it comes to using their smartphones to the full potential of what those smartphones are capable of. So, for example, apps. Now, I mean, something that validates my belief is the fact that the Apple App Store has way more apps than any of the other app stores do. So that tells you something as well. So if these are the real techies who will try out new apps and might use it day to day, I probably should develop for them first. So that was the reasoning behind why iOS first.
Okay. Is it would it be fair to say also it's easier if you do iOS to get headlines like in newspapers and stuff? Do you think? Well, I'll leave that to Saleh as well. Either one of you.
I don't know. I mean, I think, frankly, if I built it for the market that has the most users, that might have helped get us the most headlines. But I think that wouldn't have been the smartest thing to do, just to get some buzz going. We would actually like to have the app in the most hands possible on day one. That was the reason behind iOS. Okay.
So now you guys have a free app, right? So you don't have to pay for it. But if we've talked about this many times on the show that the different app stores, we call them all app stores now because we can't remember the name. So whatever the platform is, it's an app store. So some of them we can't, as customers, we can't buy apps in. Like Android is the good example of that. Others, I think all the others we can actually spend money in. We have a little quick brainstorm, but certainly in the Apple one, no Windows. Can we buy apps, Saleh?
It was temporary, not anymore.
Okay, but we certainly can, not Android, but we can in BlackBerry. App World is here, so
we have App World, Ovi Store, App Store,
Ovi we can, yeah.
Android Market.
So it's Android and Windows we can't buy.
That's all.
Okay, so all right, so the other ones we can buy. So you're working on iOS. You're working on BlackBerry, Symbian, and Android, right?
We haven't started work on all of them.
Okay, but your plan.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You work. Okay, so let's get this right. You're working on the Symbian one.
Yes.
The other ones you're planning in the future.
Right. We want to do it one by one.
Okay. Fine. All right. Fair enough. So how much does it? How much does the App Store figure into your plans to do this? It may be, if we hypothesize a little bit, that one market is big, but there's issues with the App Store. Okay, so your app is free. You're not going to sell it, so that takes away some of the issues. A lot of the issues. But how does that figure into the way you're thinking about how you're rolling out this on different platforms?
I mean, frankly, it doesn't really matter to us because the App Store, at the end of the day, as long as the handset manufacturers are promoting their app stores and are doing a good job, that helps us, basically enable the users to be able to download it. That's all that matters to us. It doesn't matter whether or not the payment mechanisms are in place and so on and so forth. So either Wi-Fi, 3G, however they access their app store, usually they just go in and type in CareZone and download it.
I think what matters when it comes to app stores, the whole thing, plural to all of them, is how they make your apps visible, how they get it out into the categories that are there. So, for example, if you have a noteworthy app, it could come up on top of a category and stuff like that. I mean, that's the quality of app stores.
That's true.
In general.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, that's probably something that we should look into. I think generally, if you've built a good app and a lot of people start downloading it, I think in all the app stores, from what I could tell, you start to move up the ranks. You start to get more visibility. You become the app of the week, for example, and so on and so forth. I don't know how much we can do about that.
Yeah, because
ourselves.
so far, I mean, from my observation, none of these app stores have done what Microsoft has done to their marketplace. The way they do featuring apps and they give you visibility and just get you up is incredible.
I mean, I don't know exactly, but I know Nokia is at least talking a lot about working with app developers in the region to get them featured, those kinds of things.
Talk to us.
Actually, it's I'm glad you mentioned that, because Nokia has been very supportive of CareZone as well. So we're getting some tremendous help and support from them one for building CareZone and then hopefully for promoting it once it's ready as well.
Okay, very good, because that was going to be my next question. So what are the manufacturers doing to help guys like you? Okay, so there's really no Apple here, so I guess forget about that, but the other platforms you mentioned, Nokia, have you been in touch with RIM yet about BlackBerry, or is that too far away? So
it's not too far away. It's just that we've had our hands full. Sure. I would definitely love to talk to somebody at RIM to get that ball rolling as well. We'd love to have a CareZone app for BlackBerry users ASAP. But we will need some support simply because we're so stretched right now, stretched really thin for resources.
Okay. How are you doing development? Are you writing the code, or how does that work? No, you're shaking your head.
Not at all. I first of all, that is not my area of expertise or core competence by any means. I am a little more technically competent than your average entrepreneur, but I cannot develop apps to save my life. We've actually outsourced it to a very good set of people, cloud appers in Dubai who have resources around the region, and so that helps us focus on what we're good at, which is developing the concept further, getting the partnerships in place, and so on and so forth, and that takes a lot of time. But yeah, I think I would suggest to entrepreneurs either get a partner on board who is technically competent, as in equally vested in the venture, or outsource it outright. That way you get the best product at the end of the day, and it takes a lot of headache off of you. So
I understand then that you don't understand all the ins and outs and details of developing apps, but in your estimate, and what has been some of the technical issues that you've been facing in terms of developing this app? What have been some of the hurdles in terms of building the app that you've come across?
We've had actually a number of hurdles. One, the fact that we have a remote team, so it's not always easy to get stuff done ASAP because we're not sitting face to face. But I think that's by nature a good development team won't always be with you physically on the ground. Otherwise, your cost structure blows out of proportion. But that's something that we've managed quite well. But other than that, I mean, just for example, in the case of Nokia, Symbian is a platform that not many people have developed for, so the resources or the skill sets aren't readily available in the region like they might be for iOS, for example. So there we really had trouble figuring out the APIs, at least the development team did. And so that's where Nokia, the guys there, Praveen and Hatem and all those guys have been really, really helpful. They have technical resources we can reach out to help us figure that stuff out.
Okay, very good. I know, Saleh, you're working a lot on interfaces. It's like every time you come into the studio, it's like you've been up all night working on some interface. I mean, that is a big part of the app. Is that something you put in a lot of time into, a lot of effort into, and how did you come up with the way the interface should finally look?
I had a lot of input. 'Cause, I mean, I had an idea, vision in mind, but we also had on the Cloud Appers team a very, very good designer based in Beirut. And this is where my point about not always having the right resources available face-to-face is okay, because you have resources that are very, very good somewhere else.
Sure.
And they'll do a much better job. So the initial feedback we've been getting for CareZone on the iOS platform is that it's a fantastic user interface. It's very, very easy to use, very easy to understand, and people love the simplicity. Yet at the same time, the flip side is it's actually very, very sophisticated on the back end, and you can do a whole lot with the app, much more than most other apps can. So balancing both of those is not easy, and from what we're hearing, we've managed to do that. So that's great to hear for us. But yeah, design is extremely important, getting the right user interface. We invested a lot of time in the very beginning. It took us quite a bit more time than I had expected and envisioned just to do the design phase.
Sure.
But in hindsight, I'm glad we did.
Okay. Couple of minutes left.
I have one quick question.
Sure.
Man. Very,
Shoot.
very, very quick. Since this is a project that takes a lot of time and a lot of efforts, you got to develop it, do the business work, run around in the market and all that. It needs a good capital to start with, and you're doing it full time, right?
Yeah.
So are you being funded by any of those funding houses or any, the goodwill companies or, any of that, or are you just doing it out of your pocket, man? Developers would not to know.
Well, okay. This is probably not what the developers want to hear, but
they need to hear, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They do need to. Yeah, I mean, it's a harsh reality, especially in this region. I'm sure you're aware it's not easy to get funding, as easy as it might be in the West, even if you have a really good idea. Now, I mean, not to blow my own horn or anything, I'd like to hear from others, but I would like to think that this is a very good idea. It's something that's very, very different. Nonetheless, it's not easy to get funding. However, I believe in it very strongly. I'm very passionate about seeing this through, because I'm convinced it's going to work. I'm convinced that users want something like this, and over time we'll see that, hopefully. So I've actually put in my own savings into this, and quite a sizable chunk of it. So
yeah, that's not what they want to
Yeah.
hear. But
Yeah.
if that's reality, that's
scary,
reality.
it's scary, but at the same time, I mean, this is my baby. This is something that I feel very, very passionately
Yep.
about, and so I'm happy to put my own money into it, because I believe that over time others will see the value as well, and the funding will come eventually. So if you have a good idea, if you develop the product well, you will eventually get the attention of somebody who might be interested in helping you out. And we're at that stage right now where we are seeking out funding to get to the next stage, whether it's building in more functionality, which we've already actually developed quite a bit of, and we're hopefully launching in the next few weeks, or expanding to the rest of the region. But I think the time is right now for us to devote more resources into looking for funding. I mean, that's the other problem, right? It's if you're going to go after funding, you're going to be distracted from actually building the product.
Sure, yeah.
So again, it's a trade-off, and I wasn't willing to make that trade-off that early on.
Okay, just in a few seconds we have left, then, if you would give one piece of advice to somebody who is maybe, where you were a year or so ago, you think you have this great idea, you want to get into this, what would it be? What's your piece of advice for them?
My advice is, if you think you've got something good, don't do it half-assed.
Okay.
Give it your all, because that's the best way to do it. You never want to look back and regret not having devoted yourself to a project, because I mean, if it doesn't take off, you might think that it's because you were doing something else and you were distracted, and that might very well be the case. And I didn't want to have that regret, which is why when I thought of CareZone, yes, I spent a lot of time developing the idea further, but I did it full time because that was the only way to do it right.
Sure. Okay, thank you very much, Ritesh. Ritesh from CareZone for joining us today.
Thanks
and if you want to find more about them, it's care-zone.com. And we had a discussion about that before the show. But care-zone.com, CareZone on Twitter as well. If you have any questions for them, and certainly go check out the app. I guess just search for CareZone in the App Store. You can find it and look for the Nokia Symbian version of it soon. So thanks very much, Ritesh, for joining us there.
Thank you. Pleasure is mine.
And we will be right back after this break.